Hello everybody, happy July 27th, 2019. This is Gorgeous Response and I am your boy Gorgeous. I hope everybody's doing superb out there in the land of viewership. Today I just basically want to come to y'all and I want to respond to an incident which had taken place a day or two ago in North Hills, North Carolina, in which we have a a white woman, a 71-year-old white woman by the name of Nancy Goodman. And I don't know if y'all familiar with the restaurant or not, but we actually have a chain of them down here in Houston, Texas. But it was in a Bonefish and Grill restaurant, in which, the 71-year-old white woman, Miss Goodman, got into a confrontation with a couple of black women. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, like 4 black women. I'm not really for certain on that. I believe it's like 4 black women because it was like 2 tables. But at any rate, she gets into it in the restaurant with the black women because apparently Miss Goodman suffers from anxiety, and the black women were perhaps talking a bit loudly, too loudly for her. And so she felt the need to confront them on it and tell them, that they were talking too loud. And, basically, it appeared to me that, it didn't say this in the report. And, I didn't hear them say this being at the black woman's, but it appeared to me like she started off telling them in the restaurant from like across the way. Like she was like about 20 feet from them or 10 or 15 feet from them, but she was at a distance. And she decided to confront the women and tell them, that they need to tone it down, and because they were being too loud. Black women being too loud in a public restaurant, or a lot of places. I mean, for y'all who don't know the joke, I mean, a lot of times when black women get together, I mean, they can get a little crunk. I mean, I think that's fair. They tend to enjoy themselves, and they can be a bit vociferous in the process. But that aside, Ms. Goodman did end up approaching the women about them being too loudly, and the women, basically was telling her that hey, they paid their money. You know what I'm saying? And basically telling her that she was out of line, which I mean, Ms. Goodman was out of line. When you have a problem like that, you take it to the management. That's what they're there for. I mean, it's their restaurant. It's not Miss Goodman's restaurant. It's not the the black women's restaurant or anybody else who's in there patronizing the restaurant. Management, it's their job to live up to the standards of their guests in any particular restaurant. I'm speaking because I worked in the restaurant industry for the better part of 20 plus years. So I'm sure a lot of you worked at a restaurant. But yeah, I mean, so they apparently were being too loud for the 71-year-old Miss Goodman, and she went to their table basically after she seen them recording her. They had their phone out and they were I guess she was Facebook living, or she was doing she had it on video. She was recording Miss Goodman, and Miss Goodman seen that they were recording her initially when she was telling them that they needed to tone it down, and she was like about, I don't know, 15 feet away from her, from the table. I mean, and she started, hey, she started, basically mocking them as they were, recording her. I mean, yeah, but they, 2019 is what we do. Everything got to, it's got to go over in recording. But I mean, that I make jokes about that, but it has some good to it too. It's not all bad. But yeah, I mean, of course they pulled out their phones like that. I mean, and they started recording. I guess as she was, or after, she decided to tell them that they needed to tone it down. Then she approached the table, and she got into a little spat with them apparently. But I don't know if it was her getting into a spat with them so much as she continued to tell them that they were being too loud. And at this point, they were basically overwhelmed. The two of them, two black women, were basically overwhelming the 71-year-old white woman as she was trying to explain, that they were, too loud in the restaurant. And they were kind of drowning her out. And so basically she just, she went to a go-to move. You know what I'm saying? She just called them, she said, "You're just a stupid nigger." Plain and simple. I mean, and she turned around and started walking. And as soon as she said, you're just a stupid nigger," they immediately was like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh, ooh," and both of them, you can hear it, because they still had her on the phone, recording her as she, told them that, they were just a stupid nigger. So, I mean, obviously, Miss Goodman is a racist. And I mean, it's just indicative of what we all know, and that there still is racism in the American society, and particularly in the South, where we have a lot of visual racism that still, goes on in these small, southern countries and counties and so forth. And this right here just reaffirms that fact that, we still, as, black people, need to be on, as well as, other colored people as well. That we still need to be on the alert that racism does exist. Now, just because it does exist still in the American society doesn't mean that we need to be, over, what's the word? I mean, we don't need to be overlooking, for lack of a better word, and that's really lacking for a better word. But we don't need to be it doesn't need to be overkill in terms of our alert. Okay, everybody's not a racist. In other words, there's still a lot of great and good white people that exist in our American society in the 2019 year. So, yes, Miss Goodman is, an example that, there still are a lot of races, and there still are a lot of old races, because what's happening is you seeing a lot of these older races that are older racist people that are dying off, but they're still, grooming their kids and their grandkids to be racist, to hate blacks, because I mean hey, I don't know why they hate blacks, all right? I don't know, okay? I'm not white. I'm not a white racist, so I can't really get in their head that way to really understand why they hate blacks so much the way which they do. That being said, they still exist. They're still out there. And, as we seen in Charlottesville, Virginia at that time, when we had our honorable president of the United States say that there were very fine people on both sides of that fence, in terms of they had the legion of white supremacists and white nationalists and just flat out racists basically storming the town of Charlottesville, Virginia, and antagonizing and running over people with their vehicles. And you had the President of the United States make those comments, which was just probably his lowest point as President of the United States from my vantage point. Like, he's been doing a lot of great things, the President of the United States, but when he made that comment, that right there was, I believe it had to do more about politics in terms of votes for him than it has to do about his actual sentiments in terms of, does he really hate black people? I don't believe he really hates black people, but I believe that he didn't want to hurt his voter turnout, people who voted for him. And obviously a lot of racist, white nationalists, white supremacists, just evil people did vote for the current president of the United States. And he didn't want to hurt those votes. That's what I believe, honestly, what the Charlottesville situation was mostly about. And, obviously the media is going to, paint another picture. But it just goes to show, though, in terms of Miss Nancy Goodman of Raleigh, North Carolina, that's where she lives at. As she flatly stated herself. You can see the video, and she didn't take it back. They asked her, would you like to, take it back, or do you feel like that was the right thing to say? She said, yeah, that was the right thing to say, you know what I'm saying? Calling them nigger, because that's the way that they were acting. And, if she had a chance, she'll say it again. That's what she said. So, yeah, it's still out there. There's no doubt about it. And like I said, they're still raising their kids and their grandkids. So, it's, will it ever just be gone? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Probably chances are it's never going to be fully gone, you know what I'm saying? But is it impacting anything now in, a black person's everyday life? The answer is absolutely not. A black person can do, and go about his means, go about his way pretty much as he chooses in the United States of America. It's nothing holding a black person back. And you talk about hatred, you talk about evil in the world, it's always going to be there. Which is why I want to segue it into an example also with a situation that happened in Mississippi, where we had 3 white college, I suppose they all were teenagers, but they took a photo that was posted in front of the memorial of Emmett Till, and it was 3 of them. You had one that was crouching down on his knee, and you had 2 that were opposite on each side of him. The 2 that were opposite on each side of him, one had a shotgun, and the other one had an AR-15. Now, just to give y'all a little info on Emmett Till. Emmett Till was a 14-year-old black teenager that was from Chicago, and he was traveling down to Mississippi in 1955 to visit his family. And apparently he went in the grocery store, and apparently after that, he was basically, captured, tortured, and murdered by a gang of white men. For apparently, the reason was that, he said something negative to a white woman, which that hasn't been corroborated. But that's what happened. The 14-year-old Emmett Till, he gets jumped on and lynched right there in Mississippi, a small town right there. And so after he got killed, the guys that were up for trial for his murder were acquitted of the murder by an all-white jury and an all-male jury. So they got away with the brutal slaying of Emmett Till. So these white teenagers are taking a photo of the memorial of Emmett Till, with one down on one knee, just to, re-say what I just said, and the other two with guns in their hands. And you can see that the memorial sign behind them that they're in front of, you can see it has bullet holes in it. So many bullet holes that the Emmett Till sign had to become down. They took it down. The Ole Miss students, the teenagers, ended up getting suspended from their fraternity, although Ole Miss said they couldn't really do anything about it since it wasn't on campus, and it didn't really violate any of their school codes, but they did condemn it. But yeah, so that's what happened right there. And so they're going to end up they did take it down already. They took down the sign, the Emmett Till memorial sign. And for the fourth time, 1, 2, 3, 4, for the fourth time, they're going to put up another Emmett Till sign, memorial sign, right there in that spot where he got slayed by those white devils. And this time they say it's going to be bulletproof, the sign they're going to put up. So yeah, I mean, so it's real, y'all. It's out there. These are, like I said, these are kids, teenagers. They don't know Emmett Till from a hole in the wall. They don't know anything, except what their parents and their family teaches them or tells them. So yeah, this right here is still going on out there. So everybody, be alert, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, don't be, like overdoing it or overthinking it, or just overwhelming yourself with concern that everybody, that is white that you're talking to or that you're, in communication with, hate you because you are a black person, because that is asinine. The majority of whites in this country, I would tell you, are not racist. Now, do they have some bias? Perhaps. Having bias, as I've told y'all, is a part of being a human being. That's a part of human nature. Everybody has their bias, what they like or what they prefer. Okay, it's not that I hate you, right? I don't hate you, right? I don't even really dislike you, right? It's just that I prefer him or I prefer her. Everybody has their preference. That's their bias. In terms of views, in terms of everything, So that's just part of being a human being, But I would tell you that the majority of white people in the United States of America are not, in fact, racist. So always be, always have it in the forefront of your mind, and always be circumspect about when you're issuing out claims of racism toward anybody who is of white nationality, or white American, if you will. So just wanted to report that to y'all, let y'all know that that a bunch of whites are still racist out there. They're still breeding their racist kids and teaching them racist propaganda. And again, who the hell knows why they're doing it, right? I sure as hell don't know why they're doing it. But it's something. It's the United States of America. It's a free country. If you want to be a racist in this country, it's your prerogative. Like, it's your life. It ain't mine. It ain't the next one's. It ain't this one's, or it ain't the other one's. It's your life if you choose to be a racist. Me personally, I don't give a damn about race. Like, I don't even give a damn about my race. I don't. Do I like seeing more people like me succeed? Yeah. But what did I just tell you? That's just preference. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I don't like seeing white people succeed, or I don't like seeing Latino people or Asian people succeed. It's just I do like seeing more people that favor me in certain ways succeed in their endeavors in life. Big whoop, whoop, whoop-de-doo, At any rate, just wanted to pass that over to y'all and let y'all know that, we are on the lookout here at Gorgeous Responds, and we will respond each and every time that something like this takes place, as well as a whole host of other issues as we do respond on. So y'all have a great, fantastic, and especially superb Saturday. This is Gorgeous Response, and I am Gorgeous. Peace.